Hello, welcome to Straight Talk Africa, live from the Voice of America studios here in Washington. It's Wednesday, January 2nd. I am Shaka Ssali. And a happy new year, and in fact a terrific one to you all. And today we'll take a look back at the report card of the democratization process on the African continent in 2012 as we begin and look ahead to 2013. Today, we are taking a considered look at what's been going on the continent. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Not the classic film starring American megastar Clint Eastwood, of course. We are here to talk about some of the events that made headlines in 2012 and what the new year on the continent has in store for us. While there were highs and lows in 2012, for my colleague Paul Sisco, the African hopes remain very, very much alive.
The new year began with a bang, as it always does. And to no one's surprise, not mine anyway, the world didn't end, and hasn't yet, despite misinterpretations of ancient Mayan manuscripts. The world breathed a collective sigh of relief when its beloved Nelson Mandela, 94 years young, came home from hospital for the holidays, tired, happy, and without the gallstones and lung infection that sent him there. In the United States, the talk is of the economy. No nation we know of is without its fiscal concerns. Today, those concerns top newly re-elected, soon-to-be inaugurated, President Barack Obama's list. On the continent, a number of countries inch closer to everyone's common vision of development and peace, with impressive growth rates, at least in those nations with newly discovered mineral and oil resources. Good governance improved in the worst of the worst, Somalia. And in September, African mediation brought hopeful but limited agreement between Sudan and South Sudan over its disputed border oil. But while there was reconciliation and progress in some areas, there were setbacks and violence in others. The year began with deadly church and mosque attacks in Nigeria and Kenya. 2012 was not a good year for Liberia's former President Charles Taylor. The International Criminal Court sent him to jail for 40 years, convicted of crimes against humanity. Kenyans Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto are free and running for Kenya's presidency next March. They're among several prominent Kenyans called to trial last year by the ICC for their role in 2007 post-election violence. Former Congolese warlord Thomas Lubanga was sentenced to 14 years in jail by the ICC for enlisting child soldiers, the first person convicted by the ICC since its launching a decade ago. Another first, Gambia's Fatou Bensouda, appointed in 2012, is now the first woman and African to head the International Criminal Court. Among her priorities as chief prosecutor, the arrest of Sudan's President Omar al-Bashir, wanted by the ICC for war crimes, and the trial of Ivory Coast's ousted leader, Laurent Gbagbo. 2012 was a very fine year for African women taking on leadership roles, a milestone. South Africa's Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was inaugurated as chief of the African Union. 2013 marks the 50th anniversary of the formation of the Organization of African Unity and 11 years of the African Union. Liberia re-elected Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and Malawi appointed President Joyce Banda, she earning praise for downsizing government and adding stability to Malawi's shaky economy. The unexpected death of Ethiopia's Prime Minister Meles Zenawi in August and Ghana's President John Atta Mills in July dominated headlines in 2012. Ghana firmed up its beacon of democracy reputation on the continent with the peaceful election, by a very slim margin, of John Dramani Mahama, despite a legal challenge from the main opposition party of Nana Akufo-Addo. The maturing democracy description continues to elude others in Africa. Spilling from 2012 into the new year are grave challenges needing increased attention at home and worldwide, notably in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in Mali, and the Central African Republic. Let's turn now to the world of sport. In Gabon in 2012, Zambia won the Cup of Nations, nearly 2 decades after the national team died in a plane crash. African runners, male and female, shined in contests across the planet, prominently so at the London Olympic Games. Next month, the continent will unite again in South Africa, providing great hope and African pride as it did when it hosted the World Cup, by playing host again to the 2013 African Cup of Nations. Paul Sisco, VOA News.
Thanks, Paul, for that insightful report.